All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That was a damn good fight. That was a really, really good fight. And I'm tired of saying fight of the year, this fight of the year, that. Every other week lately, it's just been like, that's a fight of the year, that's a fight of the year. It's been a really good year in boxing. Besides all the bullshit and, the old drama with the politics that we get every year now. That was a really, really good fight. I'm not gonna say it's fight of the year or anything like that, but I do believe that it's probably like a top 10 for me. Let me just say that. I don't want to say top five. I want to say a top 10 because everything I wanted, you got, and especially because I didn't think it was gonna be that action packed. I mean, both fighters. It seems like both fighters they fought like the beef was real. Let me say that. They fought like they really wanted to beat the shit out of each other. Like they fought like they really hated each other. Like every word that was said against each other was built up and they brought it all out when they fought. They didn't really make it about, even though Tony is a really technical fighter, I like the fact that he was the one coming forward the majority of the fight. Like anything that people criticized them from the first fight, they did in the second fight. Like Jamel Charlo, what did they say about Jamel? He didn't throw enough punches. He needed to be more aggressive, right? That was his game plan, and he did that. But Tony on the other side, they said that he just threw too many jabs, didn't throw enough power shots. He didn't want to take any chances. So what did he do? He came forward. He closed the gap. He walked Jamel Charlo down. He was trying to beat Jamel Charlo up. We already knew Jamel was going to try to knock him out. I mean, that's the way he fights. But Tony actually walked him down for a good part of this fight. And the best part about it all, I mean, obviously the fight is the best part, but these guys clearly don't like each other, but they embraced each other and respected each other at the very end. Jamel went to his corner, showed class, and showed respect, gave him his props. We know they don't like each other. And then at the press conference, again, they embrace each other, mad respect. I like that. Like I don't like I love the fact that it was a lot of shit talking. Like this was the most hyped up fight all year. You had a whole year to build this up, right? But the two actually written and actually fought each other like the beef was real. Like Hearns, Hagler, all that build up. And those two went in there and started just brawling. It was 3 rounds, but it was just like they were brawling it out. Every second of that fight, they just brawled it out. They acted like they wanted to knock each other out. And that's why I'm not trying to compare this fight to that, but on a smaller scale, it was that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like Tony didn't get in there and try to move and run. No, he fought the man. He squared up with Jamel Charlo. And Jamel Charlo squared up with him. He was in there. He came out swinging wildly. He was fighting wild. That was no boxing fight. That was a fight. After a couple rounds, yeah, everything slowed down a little bit, but was still good. There was no boring part. There was no clinching, none of that. It was no drama. It was no complaining. Dudes was just in there scrapping. It's an old school scrap, like straight fight. No gimmicks. I want to see a part 3. Not now, but at some point, if Tony's still doing his thing and Jamel's still doing his thing, I would love to see a part 3, even if it's not for a title. At some point, that fight warrants a third fight. Why not? Why not? Because the first fight was debatable, and the second fight was debatable up until the point it ended. Now, I personally had it for Tony. I mean, I picked Jamel to win by TKO. And the reason why I picked Jamel is because I just don't. I didn't trust Tony in the later rounds because not only his two losses to Willie Nelson and Jarrett Hurd, but you also had him hurt late in the Jamel Charlo fight in the first fight, right? So the reason why I didn't pick Tony, even though I knew he was, I mean, he proved in this fight his boxing IQ is on point. The dude can box, and the dude can jab. The dude can counter. His defense, he read anything, everything that Jamel was coming with. He read it, and he even took it another level and for an aggressive fight. He brought smart pressure. The dude IQ is on point. But dog, I mean, the two issues I have with Tony, and I won't even really call it issues because one of them you can't really fix. Tony don't have the greatest chin. It's not horrible. It's not. I wouldn't go as far as saying he has a glass jaw or anything like that. But what I say is his chin. He don't have as good of a chin as Charlo. Charlo has a good chin. I think it's good. It's pretty safe to say that he's a damn good chin because Tony hit him with some shots that would have rocked anyone else. You know, Tony may not be a super knockout artist, but he ain't no slouch either. He will knock you out. And Jamal walked through a lot of those punches, so you got to give him respect. But the other thing, the main thing I feel like the issue I have with Tony, Tony got to really work on his long term, like his late fight conditioning. You know, because every time he loses, it's kind of similar to than before. You're gonna outbox. I've never seen Tony Harrison get outboxed. I am not even sure if there's anyone at 154 can outbox him. I think the only person that has the best chance of actually outboxing him round by round is maybe J Rock because he's so skilled. His skill set is crazy. His IQ is crazy. His jab, his combination, his hand speed is insane. But outside of him, I can't really see anyone really outboxing Tony Harrison. Hurd wasn't outboxing him. He was getting pieced up. It's just that he had a chin and, you know, he throws a lot of punches. He's a good pressure fighter. Willie Nelson damn sure wasn't outboxing him. And that's a fight that I'm sure, you know, I'm sure Tony Harrison regrets really losing. He gave that fight away. You know, Hurd beat him. Hurd worked his game plan and worked for him. That's his style. Same way he beat Trout, same way he beat Lara. But Willie Nelson stole that fight. All right, he stole that fight from him. All right, he was undefeated at the time. Tony Harrison was undefeated. But even in the Charlo fight, Charlo clipped him in that 12th round, rocked him. And this is why I picked Charlo to win, TKO. At some point, the ref was going to jump in and stop this fight. But I had Tony up a point going into that 11th round. I think the first half he jumped ahead in the lead, even though he got the knockdown. Tony was winning almost. You know, I think the first 6 rounds, I only gave Charlo 2 rounds. You know, he gets 2 points for that knockdown in the second round, and I think I might have given him like the 6th round or something like that. But in the second half, Tony started to slow down. All right, and he started playing around and they're showing bowling. And I said this. I said Tony got to stick to the game plan. Don't get carried away. He got carried away. He got too relaxed. He got too confident, too comfortable. And not only that, he was slowing down a bit. Jamel wasn't fighting as wild as he was in the first couple rounds, but he didn't slow down the pace. Okay? Those second half rounds, though, that I scored, they were a lot harder to judge. And let me tell you something, it was starting to look like that first fight. Because those second half of the rounds, those rounds in the second half were a lot harder to score than the ones in the first half, to me. All right, so I had a tough time. I was scoring it on my phone, and I was saying to myself, I'm giving some of these rounds swing rounds because there were a lot of rounds where Jamel was in control, and then when Tony started to let his hands go, he was just piecing up Jamel at will. I mean, the jab again. It just looked like he landed a jab whenever he threw it. It started to really look like that. It seemed like whenever he really wanted to touch Jamel, he could. Jamel got to work on his defense. He got to work on that. But I give him props because he has a chin, and he has a chin, and he stayed consistent with that pressure. No matter what was happening in the ring, Tony was still trying to get in his head by showboating. He stuck to trying to win. And you got to give Jamel, anybody that talks bad about Jamel and the Charlo twins and they call them Cubs and all that shit, you got to give them props, bro. Because he already lost to the dude. For him to come back and win, just like AJ the other week, he lost to Andy Ruiz. He got knocked down. He got embarrassed in New York and everything. But he was able to come back, fix what needed to be fixed, and win the fight. Jamel came back, lost his first fight, came back. Guy was out talking shit. He was out talking him, clowning him in a press conference. He was able to come back and get a stoppage. Respect. All right. Stoppage was a little weird. How I feel about it, I feel like when he knocked him down in a second round, in the 11th round, I thought that the fight could have been stopped. When he threw like those uppercuts like 3 times and Tony fell against the ropes, I felt like the fight could have been stopped then. But the ref let the fight continue. Now, when Jamel came in at the end, I felt at that moment, I think Tony was okay, but I wasn't mad at the stoppage only because I thought the fight could have been stopped earlier. Now Jamel messed up. He celebrated too early, but that's how the energy is, man. I mean, it is what it is. When your energy is like that, and you win, that's what happens. But much respect to both, man. I mean, like really, much respect for both. Like they both did their thing, man. The loser didn't really lose to me. And I would like to see a third fight at some point, not right now, but later down the line. If these guys keep doing their thing and they decide to get it on for a third time, that would be great. That would be great. I would pay to watch that fight. That's how good that fight was to me. I like that, and I respect both of them, and I really love the fight, man. No, there's no loser tonight. I know Tony feel like the loser. There's no loser. You'll come back around, but you got to work on your conditioning, man, and fighting these later rounds because it's I think between the top 3 or 4 fighters that you fought, 3 of them beat you, and they beat you late, and it's not because you was getting outboxed. His IQ is insane. He just needs to work on maintaining that throughout the fight. He took a big risk though, fighting the way he did, but he did well. But he wasn't able to sustain it late, and that's the problem. All right, but I'll talk more about the undercard. I wanted to talk about FA Jabba. I wanted to talk about him now because this is like the second fight in a row, which I'll do another video. I want to talk separate with him. I still got to talk about Daniel Dubois and stuff like that. So I'll make another video talking about the heavyweights. But great card. All 3 fights in that card were the one that they showed on televised on Fox. All 3 fights were good. All right. But great fight. Great fight. Definitely a top 10 favorite fight for me. I hope Jamel, I mean, if the J Rock is to win his next fight, hopefully they can get a unification. And I can't tell you who's gonna win that fight because Jamel got a good chin. Obviously, I think J Rock is a better boxer. I've rated J Rock over Jamel as a boxing and straight boxing ability. I've always rated J Rock, even in my older videos. But the thing is, Charlo has proven to me he has a chin and he has power. And if he catches J Rock, I know. Listen, Hurd could punch, but Hurd is a guy that wears you down. Charlo's a guy that hurts you with one shot. He's a game changer. So J Rock, great win against Hurd. Great win. But you can't just sleep on Jamel. Jamel can possibly knock out J Rock, regardless of how the fight is going. He's like a mini Wilder. When I say mini, I'm not. Listen, obviously he doesn't have the power Wilder has pound for pound. Wilder is already historically one of the most powerful guys out there. But what I'm saying is the way that he fight, he could be getting outboxed. Jamel can be getting outboxed and turn the fight around like that. He did it to Tony Harrison. He did it to John Jackson. Okay? He can turn the fight around in an instant. So J-Rock, if they end up fighting, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but that's gonna be a hard fight to call. Because J-Rock does his thing. He can box and he can punch, but Jamel, all he needs is one shot, you know? And he could turn the fight around at any given moment. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. See you guys on the next one. Peace.